Hello. I am in front of the main building of Cheong. The Cheong building was used as the presidential office. Since President Yoon Suk-yeol of Korea, who started his term in 2022, declared that he would no longer use this building, it has become open to the public. There were student tour programs before that, but it hasn't been long since it was completely open to the public. Blue tiles are very expensive. This is because potassium nitrate, which is used to make gunpowder, is needed. In the past, gunpowder was very expensive worldwide, so blue tiles made from gunpowder materials had to be expensive as well. About 150,000 blue tiles were used in Cheong. It was made by a traditional tile craftsman. Only two places, the main building and the presidential residence, which you see now, used blue tiles. Currently, only one building with blue tiles remains in Yeongbingwan and Cheong due to several fires. Before the fires, all important buildings used blue tiles. The previous kings tried to restore the palace with blue tiles, but gave up because the cost was too high. Because of this history, the blue tiles on the Cheong building mean that it is a very important building. Originally, this was where the northern garden of Yeongbingwan Palace was located. During the Japanese colonial period, the Governor General's residence was built here. When Japan lost the Pacific War, the building was used as the residence of the Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. military government. After that, the United States recognized Korea's autonomy, and the President of Korea used the building as his official residence and office. If you look to the right, you can see Yeongbingwan Palace, Gwanghwamun, and Namsan Tower in the distance. This is my favorite view from here. Korean presidents would have spent time looking at the scenery there when they were taking a break. I arrived in front of the main building. People are standing in front of the building to take commemorative photos. The building is really grand and big. I feel overwhelmed. It seems bigger than Yeongbingwan Palace, the old palace in Korea. There was controversy when this building was built. It was based on a modern concrete building, but only the exterior and interior were partly inspired by Korean design. That is, the controversy was that it was not a completely traditional building. I don't know much about architecture, so I just think it looks cool. We entered the building. It is really magnificent. It feels like we are in a grand theater. The interior of the building definitely looks like a traditional Korean house. The wooden interior is covered in pure white wallpaper. It looks more like a nobleman's house than a king's palace. People are lining up to take commemorative photos at the photo zone. You can't see it very well from here, but there's a huge map of the Korean peninsula on the wall. The building is a two-story structure, and if you go up to the upper floor, you will see stairs in front that split into left and right directions. Korean leaders have been observing constellations since ancient times. The world's first astronomical map is in Korea. The constellations on the ceiling here are based on that picture. Let's go into the room in front. It says it is a reception room. The interior space is also really spacious. If you look at the spacing between the chairs, they are far apart. Now, I understand why former presidents have said that Cheong is too spacious after being elected. Architects have pointed out that Cheong is a building with strong imperial authoritarianism, so it is far from the public sentiment. It is said that the structure cannot help but be authoritarian due to the influence of space. Former President Moon Jae-in was also reluctant to use this building for this reason. President Yoon Suk-yeol, who was elected in 2022, moved his office to a completely different place. This is the State Council room on the first floor of the building. On the right wall, there is a painting of the sun, moon, mountains, and the sea. That painting is the same as the one behind the king's chair in Yeongbingwan Palace. And that painting was always there when the king was on official business. This time, we will come out of the conference room. When you leave the conference room, there are portraits of past presidents hanging. This is the First Lady's reception room on the first floor. On the left are photos of past First Ladies. Although the First Lady is not an official position, she is the President's life partner who must make important decisions, so government agencies treat her with courtesy. I came out of the main building and looked at the large garden. I can see the city of Seoul in the distance. The scenery is really beautiful. A welcoming ceremony for foreign dignitaries was held here. US Presidents Trump and Obama visited this place, and a welcoming ceremony was held. So far, we have seen the main building of Cheong. This time, we will go to the presidential residence located to the east. This is where the president's family also lived. Former President Park Geun-hye, who was single, also used this large residence as an office. It seems that she did so because she had no family. For reference, the main building of Cheong and the residence combined are larger than the White House in the United States. In the case of the White House in the United States, the residence and office are used in one building. The presidential residence is a 100% traditional Korean house built differently from the main building I saw before. You can see that the entrance door is made of wood. There is a small building on the left, a little distance away. That building is where the security guards used to live. The secretaries who assist the president are operated by about 500 people. If you look at the roof, you can see several small statues. Those statues are said to have the function of driving away evil spirits. There are also those in old palaces in Korea. There are 9 statues like that in the palace, and there are 9 in this building too. The more statues there are, the more important the building is. Traditional Korean houses have an L-shaped house inside a square fence like this. The yard in front of me served as a living room. It was a space for tending grains or entertaining guests. This influenced modern Koreans, who made the living room particularly spacious. This time, we will visit the Yeongbingwan building, located in the west area of Cheong main building. Yeongbingwan is about a 5-minute walk from the main building. This building is a banquet hall. It is a place where VIPs who meet the president are treated to a meal. It is usually open to the public, but on days when there are presidential events, you cannot visit here. This is one of the Cheong buildings that is still in use. The exterior of the building is closer to European architectural style than traditional Korean style. The interesting thing is that among the 3 Cheong buildings introduced so far, the presidential residence on the east is a completely oriental building. The building on the west is a Western-style building, and the main building in the middle is a building that feels like a mix of Oriental and Western styles. I don't know if this was the architect's intention, but it's a feature I discovered by chance. Looking inside the building, you can see Western-style interiors like wainscoting with Korean patterns carved into them, and even on the carpets. I have also seen European-style palaces while traveling around Europe, but it feels like Western-style but with Eastern characteristics. The interior is very spacious. This is where national heroes are invited for meals, and press conferences are held. In the past, visitors could go inside and look around. However, on the day I visited, they were not allowed to go in. It would have been better if they could go inside, but it's a shame. This concludes my tour of Cheong building. Thank you for watching the video.